Hi everyone, in this video we are going to take a tour of the RStudio environment, and this video is intended for those of you that are absolute beginners in R and RStudio. We are not going to delve in this video at all into the R language or statistics at all. I just want to get you a little bit familiar with the RStudio environment, which you can see here. Because I have found that very often people delve right into using the R language, and they learn about using the R language, but they're a little bit lost about what all of these different panels and panes mean in RStudio, and also they are specifically confused about the concept of a project and a working folder. So in this video I'm just going to first go through the basics of the RStudio environment. Now when you open up your RStudio for the first time, you're likely to see something like this. Now it may be that yours will be have a white background. So if you just go to the Tools menu and you go to Global Options and you go to Appearance, you would be able to select your theme, and as you can see down here, I'm using the modern theme. You can see the fonts I'm using here, and I'm specifically using the editor theme called Idle Fingers, which looks like this. And you can explore these different themes. Some of them are dark or light, and then you can click on Apply when you are done. So I'm just going to cancel out of this. Just one note, whatever you choose, make sure it's very easy for you to see the difference between comments and actual R code. So comments are those preceded by a hash in R. Now you may find that when you open it up, instead of looking like this, you're going to see 4 different panes. And that's most likely the situation you're going to work in most of the time. So if I go here to View and I go to Panes and I click on Show All Panes, you can see it's going to open up for me another pane here, which is a pane in which I have script. Now for now I just want to focus on this pane down here below, which is the console. And the console is basically where you can type an R command. So for example, you can type in 2 + 2 and enter, and the answer will be shown there for you as 4. You can also assign a value to a variable. For example, I can say x is equal to, now this sign, the smaller than with a dash behind it, is the assign statement in R. I'm just going to use the shortcut as equal. So if I say this is equal to 4 and I press enter on that, then you can see up here in the environment tab, there has been a variable has been created and its value is 4, right? So this is what you can see in the console down here. But most of the time you are not going to want to be typing single line commands like I've just shown here. What you will want to do rather is create a whole series of commands and then save that so that you can reuse it later. So a big element of R is the fact that you are writing scripts and tools which you can reuse over and over again. So very important associated principle is the principle of a script. Now here at the top left panel you can see that there is currently a script open called Untitled. Now I'm going to just close this script. So you can see there's a little cross there. I'm going to close the script. Now I only have 3 panels again. Now I'm going to deliberately open a script. So I'm going to click on this little icon here and there's a R script. So now I open a R script. A R script is just a text file. You can edit it with Notepad if you want, but RStudio is obviously the environment in which you want to enter your scripts. So let's go now and do something like we know that there's a variable x equals 4 here, which I've assigned, and in this panel over here you can see the environment is the most important tab for me on this panel, because this is where you can see what is currently in the memory for this session that you've got open. So I'm going to assign a new variable. I'm going to call this y, and I'm going to assign a value of 5 to it. And if you are working in this panel and you want to execute a command, you have to press Control and Enter. So you hold down the Control key, this is in Windows, and you press Enter. Right, so now you can see you've got two variables now in memory, and once again this environment tab shows you what is in there. So now if I go and I say x plus y, and I enter on this, now you can see there's nothing shown here, but down here in the console you see the result of any script that is being run. And very important also is any errors that occur in the script will also be shown here. So for example, if I say z is equal to x plus a, and I Control Enter on this, you can see that there is no variable a defined, so I expect to get an error down here in the console. So I put my cursor down there, I press Control Enter, and I get an error here, object not found. So as you are working in R, you are most of the time going to be working in this panel, but frequently look at this panel to see the values currently assigned to your variables, and also look down here to ensure that you don't have any errors that have occurred, right? So I can correct this now, and I can say z is equal to x plus y, and I Control Enter on this. I can see this command is now successfully run, and indeed you can see there is a new variable assigned z which has a value of 9. Right, so this script that you're writing here can get quite extensive. As you become more proficient in R, you are going to write fairly long scripts that could do things like import a file, do certain things with it, calculate certain statistics, draw graphs, and save the results to file in one operation. Okay, if you want to ever run the entire script from top to bottom, then you can put your mouse anywhere and you just press Shift Control Enter. You can see when I did that, all these commands were run, and nothing really changed because I just rerun the commands that I had already. Okay, now this panel we haven't spoken about at the bottom right. This panel is used primarily to look at plots and to look at help. So if you want to get any help associated with any statistical functions, for example, if I want to look at the function to generate a random uniform variable, I know in R this is called RUnif, like this, and if I press Control Enter on that, I put a question mark in front and I press Control Enter, I will see the help for that function in here in the help panel. I noted earlier that you can generate plots and view that in the plots window. So let's just take a very simple example. I'm going to say x data is equal to, now I'm going to open a vector using the C command, which is something that you'll have to remember. We'll get into that later when we look at the R language. Basically a C command opens up a vector for you, and I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm going to assign that, and then I'm going to say y data is equal to C, and I'm going to say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. Just correct that mistake that I've got there. So there are of course easier ways to do what I've just done, but we'll get to that later. You don't have to type out a list like this. There are as commands so that you can just generate a sequence of numbers like that. But for now, just keeping with the theme that I've shown you already of assigning a variable or a value to a variable, I'm going to Control Enter on this line, and I'll Control Enter on that line. And you can see I've got a variable in here, x data and y data, and I can now just go and do a very simple quick and dirty plot of x data versus y data. And if I press Control Enter on this, you can see in my plot panel down here the plot is being drawn for me. Now this plot is not very pretty. There's the axis names have automatically been assigned as the names of these variables, which generally, if you are generating something professional for a report, you don't want something like that. But we will get into that later in this series, where we will show you how to actually use ggplot to draw very professional graphs and save it also, that you can flexibly use it in reports and so forth. So the key things, the key takeaways that I want you to take away from this video is the 4 panels. Here you write a script. A script is a file that you can save and reuse. Down here is the console. You can type a command in the console, but generally you use the console to look at the results of the script that you have run, and also to check that there are no errors like you have over here while your script is being run. While you're working in the console, you can always clean it up by using this little brush button, so that you start with a clean slate. The other element that I noted is in the top right panel. The environment is very important for noting what variables you've got in place. And the bottom right panel is primarily used to view any plots that you generate, and also to view the help files. Now there are other panels on here, for example the files menu, which shows you like a mini version of Windows Explorer. We are not going to use that much in this course. Now the final thing that I will say before I close off this video is that I noted before that whatever script you write here is actually a file. And I noted that you can open it even with Notepad, any text editor. So because it's a file, you need to save it somewhere, right? Now normally you will save that file in your current project directory, and we'll get to RStudio Projects in the next video. But for now, I'm just going to show you that I can save it as in any folder that I really want, and then I can reopen it later. So you can see this has got a star behind it. It means it's not yet saved. So if I click on the save icon over here, I can now go and save it, and I'm going to save it in my folder demos, and I'm just going to save it right in there, and I'll call it demo 1. And you can see RStudio will automatically assign a .r extension to that file. So now you can see this script is named like that. I can close it, and I can reopen it again at another stage, and I can rerun the script with Shift Control Enter, and the entire script will run. Okay, so that's it for this first video on RStudio. In the next one, we will deal with projects and work folders. Thank you for watching.